Any speculation that Corbin Burns was going to sign with the Cubs was just that, speculation. I mean, they were never going to spend the money for the former Milwaukee ace, but he found a home. We're going to talk about that. Also, how about the Cubs? What they have coming up, the youth movement that could be part of this season, and I think it will, unless some of these guys get traded. But I want to talk about some of those players and what they mean to this organization and how they may make an impact on the Cubs season. And I think they should make an impact. All of that right here on the Cubs Baseball Channel. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Hopefully you're having a great holiday season. And let's get this show started. Go Cubs. All right, guys, go Cubs. Thanks for joining the show. I'm Mick Gillespie at Broadcaster Mick on the socials, and appreciate all of you guys for hanging out here as we talk Cubs each and every day. All right, so this is what I wanted to get into right out of the chute, and it's not a shocker to anybody, I don't think, that Corbin Burns signed somewhere else. He got a big deal with the Diamondbacks, and I look at the Diamondbacks, and I was like, didn't you guys give a big deal like this to Madison Bumgarner? Yeah, it didn't go too well. Maybe Corbin Burns is going to be that guy. And if you're going to invest in a team, and the Diamondbacks got to the World Series 2 years ago, okay, they were in contention last year. You got to have an ace at the top of your rotation. And the Diamondbacks, they understood that. The problem is that you know, when you're a small market team like them and you pay somebody that much money, they better perform. Because you can't afford to give that kind of a contract away and then not live up to it. Now, that's not our issue. And on yesterday's show, we talked about basically the report from Jesse Rogers, where he's saying that the Cubs aren't going to spend a lot of money, and that part of it is that Marquee has underperformed, and and the product is what it is. I mean, and also the distribution is what it is on that. So I could talk about that all day. We'll get into that on another show. But what I want to get into today are the players that could possibly impact the Cubs this season from a rookie standpoint, and how I feel like these guys could make such a difference for the Cubs and their opportunity to have success. So I'm going to run down some of those players and say that the Cubs have the potential, with the influx of players that they have, to see that their rookies could make them a viable World Series contender if those players come in and do the things that they're capable of doing. So I want to start right out of the chute with Owen Casey. You know, a lot of people have heard his name and they haven't seen him play, but to me, Owen Casey is a star. He is a big-time prospect. I think he is the Cubs' best prospect. And I know some of you are going, what about Matt Shaw? What about Cade Horton? I'm going to get into those guys too, and I'm not taking a shot at them. But Owen Casey has been the youngest guy on his team, or close to the youngest guy, up through the playing baseball as a pro. 22 years old. He hit 278, 19 home runs, and had a little bit of speed. Drove in a bunch. He is a really good player with the potential to be, I think, a 30 home run plus player. And defensively, he doesn't get enough credit for being a really good defender. You watch him play in right field, the way that he moves to the ball, the routes that he takes, there's a lot of pride that he puts into his defense. It translates. If I had a prospect guide and I graded the Cubs' top prospects, Owen Casey would be number one. Now, the issue is, where are you going to put him? And I've talked about that ad nauseum on this channel, because I don't understand how they have structured these contracts and signed players when you had, players in your system that you're bringing up to eventually to get in. You got two guys that are signed with no trade clauses in your corner outfield spots. You got the best defender in baseball, in my opinion, in center. And then you just traded for Kyle Tucker, and he's got to play every day. And there's only one DH spot. So, what's that going to look like? I don't know. But injuries happen. Last year, the Cubs missed an opportunity to put Casey in the big leagues and give him some chance, some at bats. They did Kevin Alcantara. I think you eventually trade him. I don't see him as being a part of the future. I think that Owen Casey is a building block. He's the most significant building block that the Cubs have. Now, second is another position player, and it's Matt Shaw. The minute that the Cubs traded away Isaac Paredes, you're going, who's the next third baseman? And then when they didn't do anything this free agent season for third base so far, and who knows? I mean, hot stove's still rolling, but the guy that we all talk about, Matt Shaw is, to me, he's an undersized guy. I mean, it's not a big, like when I spent, time around Rhino, every time you're around him, you're like, man, this is a big dude, like he just is big. Like he's just built big, he just looks like he's a durable cat, Matt Shaw's a smaller dude, but he's got power. He's fast. He's a really good baseball player. And at 23 years old, man, the guy hit 284 last year and hit 21 home runs, but he also stole over 30 bases. The other thing about Shaw that I really like is he's played so much baseball in his life. He just gets the game. Something about him, he gets the game. Like he just understands it. Like he knows how the game is played at an elite level. He's a baseball savant, and he's someone that is going to help you win. He's a winning player. And there's a spot for him, unlike Casey. So look for him to be able to impact the Cubs. Now, I'm going to go with one more position player, and then I'm going to go with the guy that I would probably have as my number 2 prospect in the Cubs organization, but just kind of what we're rolling right now on position players. Moises Ballesteros is another guy that has the potential to make a big impact, and it's because he can hit. He's another guy that was just under 20 home runs last year. He hit just under 290. He is a catcher that's not great at catching, but he's great at hitting. And how many times have I told you guys he's got just amazing hands? It's just soft hands to the ball, but they're quick. He's got a good eye, and he's a tough out. So he's someone that I think you got to keep an eye on. The Cubs have, obviously Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya. I'm not huge on Miguel Amaya. I don't know a lot about Carson Kelly. I think Amaya, if he's able to build off of what we saw him do it at the end of last year, then I'd be fine with that. Because the minute that, Christian Bethancourt showed up and started doing something, he started doing something. But where was that before? So he needs to either step up or they need to find another direction for that spot. Ballesteros needs to get better at catching, but he's a better hitter than both of the catchers that the Cubs have at the big league level. He's left-handed. They wanted him to hit for more power, so he hit more home runs. But he's a guy that can hit for average too. So we'll see. He's someone to keep an eye on because he's just a really good player and a difference maker. Now, the pitcher that I want to talk about as far as an impact player for the Cubs, none of you guys are going to be surprised at Cade Horton. Cade Horton is the best Cubs pitching prospect since Pryor and Wood. And I've said that on this channel. I've said that in front of people. I believe in this guy. There's just the slider is unbelievable. It's filthy. He pitches mean, which I like. Too many guys are nice now. No, this guy's coming in at you. Don't get too comfortable because he's going to put that 96 under your chin. He's got great accuracy, and he's tough to hit. And last year I thought, well, look, this guy's going to really contend for a spot in the big leagues, but he was hurt. He ended up getting hurt in AAA. So Cubs got to get him to the big leagues, but he is a legitimate ace talent, and he's just got to get there and be able to do that at that level. And then to have him, get him back healthy, and I'm sorry. I mean, do the same thing you did with Paul Skeens at the Pirates. Get his ass to the big leagues because he's wasting his time in the minor leagues. We've got to get him healthy and then do that. And then the last guy that you really have to look at prospect wise is James Triantos. And where's Triantos going to play? There may be a spot for Triantos in the big leagues before Shaw, just because I don't think he's going to be an everyday guy at one spot. I think he's going to be like a Ben Zobrist type of dude that you put him at different areas, and basically he's a utility guy. And if that's the case, he could play a little third, he could play a little second, he could play a little shortstop. Maybe not as much shortstop as second, but I've seen him in the outfield. But he's a great hitter. He's a great contact hitter. How's that going to translate to the big leagues? I'm more comfortable with Shaw because he walks, but Triantos has the ability to barrel the ball up. Doesn't hit for as much power, but he is a thorn in your side when it comes to putting the ball in play and fouling off pitches, spoiling pitches. He is a hitter's hitter, man. He can hit. And he's one of the Cubs' top prospects. I got this gut feeling that the Cubs could trade him. I could see them trading him. I could see them trading Ballesteros in the right deal. I can't imagine them trading Owen Casey unless you're getting something back big. You would have to get a big, big return. And they traded Cam Smith in the Kyle Tucker deal. To me, if I'm the Cubs, that's the guy I trade of the group of prospects here. And part of it's we just don't know what Cam Smith's going to look like long term. But these other guys, you kind of get a feeling like, hey, you know what? You could see them being on the big league roster and making an impact this year. They got to get an opportunity, though. And I feel like that's where the Cubs kind of missed that chance last year. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us on the Cubs baseball channel again. We'll keep talking Cubs. Get in the comments section. You guys were blowing me up over the spending stuff that Jesse Rogers said. Jesse's awesome. I'll be honest, though, I love Tom Ricketts too, and I look at what it would be like to own a team and then, have a front office where you're trying to figure out, are they going to figure it out or not? How much money you're going to put in, but also, what do you do with this TV network that you invested in that's not making it? And how does that translate? And how much money are you pouring in there? And how, it's a business. As much as we want it to be about winning, to those, to guys that it's their livelihood, they got to make decisions that aren't always based on that. But what I will tell them is that when we win, you make more money. You make a lot more money. And maybe more people want to watch the TV network. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, comment section, and happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. Happy New Year's. That's coming up. And we will talk to you again tomorrow. Go Cubs.